Come here, Glenn. Come here, Glenn.
Glenn, we need your help, Glenn.
I don't see it at your page. Is that up yet?
We are live right now on YouTube.
We are live I'm coming to you from Beverly Hills, California, center of the universe.
Glenn, yes, this is the center of the universe for everybody out there. We're also coming live from a houseboat and live from somewhere unknown. But I want to welcome everybody to the world according to that man, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. We are joined tonight by an iconoclast, and we have two iconoclasts, obviously, but we have Ken LaCourte from Media Action Network, former Fox News, the man, and Media Action Network. I want to thank everybody that's watching and listening in YouTube chat. I want to thank everybody that's been downloading our podcast at a rapid pace. It means the world to us. And Ken LaCourte, in one sentence, tell people what Media Action Network does.
Oh, if you're tired of whining about the liberal media and are looking for ways to punch back, join up with us over at the MediaActionNetwork.com and give a smack or two back.
You should. My mother loves
a new fresh cup.
I've told you, my mother loves
leave
the
that here.
site.
Leave that here. Leave that here. Leave that here. I'm talking to my helper and nurse, Glenn. I need a new cup.
And of course, this show wouldn't be complete without a creak in the background of a door that needs WD-40. But of course, lawyer, actor, provocateur, saint, sinner.
Economist, saint, sinner, father, grandfather, husband,
former shoe salesman and now doctor.
Doctor, swimmer, doctor, novelist, essayist, a stock market commentator whose predictions have been startlingly true. And let's see what else. Oh, expert witness in very, very complex financial fraud cases and fiduciary duty cases. And that's a lot. That's how come I'm able to live here.
And not a braggart at all. But welcome to the world according to that man, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. And I gotta tell you guys, right off the bat, and I know Ken, and I was talking with Ben about this before the show. We're two Jews, so we feel free to say whatever sometimes we want. We're not scared of the racist tag or the those things because we're Jews, So we'll
wait.
You guys were scared of everything.
Wait a sec. I think you're missing a beat here in this argument. Why does the fact that we're Jews make us not afraid of being called racist? I mean,
well, because I feel as a minority that's been shat on for many a few centuries. I don't give a crap what people say back to me. But I really want to get to the.
I'm very much Jew, so there you are.
What?
I very do might give a crap what people say about me.
But you don't. But Ben, you write stuff all the time that it talks about race. You're willing
all the time
to not be part of it.
I only write it if I think it's true, and if I think it's important and helpful to everyone involved.
But I want to get right to this LeBron James thing because it really ate me at my core. For people that are unaware of this, he sent out a tweet to the police officer from Columbus, Ohio, to his 50 million Twitter followers, saying, "You're next."
And then please tell us who the guy in Columbus, Ohio is, please.
There was the police officer that came upon the scene, saw a black female trying to stab another black female, and he shot her 4 times. Right. And people are like, why aren't you using a taser? But that's not the point. The point is you have this guy, LeBron James, who obviously is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But
incredible player.
But just a stone cold. I hate to say what if we said that, but the call for violence or the call for terror on these police officers right now, Ben Stein, is absolutely frightening.
It is terrifying. And to think that LeBron James, a person who is not only an incredible athlete, but to whom many people look up as an example of good sportsmanship and of moral decency, is being a bully, a thug, and a nasty, awful guy in this case is shocking. I mean, he saved, apparently, another young black girl from being stabbed to death. The policeman did, Why is he being threatened? Why is anybody mad at him at all? A crazed person was going after a young black girl with a giant knife. Why would anyone be mad at a police officer who saves the potential victim's life? It just doesn't make any sense at all. And why LeBron James would say that doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, he's a terribly rich guy. He's a terribly successful guy. I'm sure he has a magnificent home, many magnificent homes. I'm sure he has all the women he could ever want in his life. I'm sure he has many fabulous cars. He lives in the best country there ever was on this planet. What is he talking about? What's he talking about? What is he doing?
Well, Ken LaCourte, I want to say this to you. So we all know what intersectionality is. So they had to choose.
No, we don't know, sir. So you assume that we all know everything. I don't know what intersectionality is, except I know it's an excuse for anti-Semitism.
It's a level. It's your grievance level in life. So if you're, let's say you're a lesbian, you're higher on the scale than if you're a straight woman. If you're a black lesbian, you're even higher on the intersectionality scale. If you're a disabled black lesbian, you're like the trifecta of intersectionality.
See, I don't think that's what it is. I think intersectionality is when you take a number of different grievances, supposed grievances, and even if there is no outward appearance of harm, you still say there's harm.
I have a different point of view.
Well, wait a minute, Ken is making a gesture. Ken?
No, I just thought it was some gay thing. I didn't know.
But that's it? That's all you got for us, Ken?
Yeah. No, you guys are defining the word great. Go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, but going back to LeBron James, I mean, look, obviously he's kind of a dope. Obviously he's, he's big and strong and I guess a great basketball player. It is reflex by everyone in a certain political side, and certainly the left and certainly the black left, to be eagerly anticipating every time a black person is shot by a cop and trying to build up their false narrative that blacks are being hunted down in America. And it's just not that way at all. And they get political power out of that and political strength out of that. And it's all a bunch of hooey. It's used by the political types there. I mean, look, LeBron James, if he cared about people, well, anyhow, I don't get too personally irate over what any dopey basketball player says, but it was bad. It was a threat. He is a bad thinker. And the problem with all of this is it's all hurting the people they profess to be wanting to help.
Exactly right.
Look, if I'm a cop and I'm white, which I'm one of those two things, man. Next time I hear, oh, hey, there's a woman. They got the 911 call who said, there's somebody who's stabbing people here. It's like, I think I'm going to finish my donut.
They're going to start. I was going to bring that up.
Oh, wait. Jude has something very smart to say about it. No, again, please finish. But Jude has something very smart. He shared this with me before the show. But
I want to hear it. I mean, but this is one. Criminals are being empowered and cops are being disempowered, and you're seeing the crime rates in mainstream cities start to skyrocket.
Especially where BLM protests.
It's more than starting to skyrocket. It has skyrocketed.
Especially where BLM protests are. They're up 10% in all those places. But basically what I was saying was, first of all, you're talking about, I took notes on that the police are going to start screening phone calls. Okay? The police are going to start screening phone calls going, we're about 20 minutes away. But what I brought up the point with Ben was, to the people that hate the police so much, here's the thing. Like how on Passover, the Jews put blood on the door and they were passed over?
That was many thousands of years ago.
Put a thing on your door saying, we don't want the police's help.
Actually, to be honest, they actually do put up the exact equivalent. Why do you think people put up Black Lives Matter signs on their businesses?
I think it's because they don't want rioters to destroy their businesses, because
that's a lot like Lamb's Blood of 2020.
Except there's a difference here. The difference is that the victims are also the perpetrators. It is the rioters who are doing the harming, killing, the arson, the beating. And now we're politically empowering those people to go after the law-abiding people who protect the society. Look, there is no society without following the law. There is no society without order. My wifey and I, last night and the night before, were watching a fabulously good documentary from PBS about Reconstruction after the Civil War. And there was an island off the coast of Georgia. I think it was called St. Simon's Island, but I may have that totally wrong. And it was governed by a very, very, very well-educated Black man who said the first rule of civilization is order. And order is what the police bring about. Law and order. And without that, there's no free society. And I am very, very much afraid that we are working against the very people who guard our free society.
It's more than that, Ken. Also, it's frightening that this guy, to 50 million Twitter followers, said something that could be construed as a threat on a man's life at worst. And or if he wants to say he was, saying comparing him to Chauvin, one way or the other, that Twitter allows this stuff up is another. It's absolutely. I mean, we could say that there's no words for it anymore, Ken.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, how many times do we have to play this game? It's like if a conservative said that, he would have been gone.
Yeah.
Look, can you talk about the fact that YouTube censored and banned multiple Ben Stein, The World According to Ben Stein episodes?
I thought it was just one.
I thought it was two. It was election, or it was one or two. Anyhow.
Talk about that, because you know more about that.
Yes.
But don't talk about why.
They mentioned that. You told me.
No, let's not talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't talk about it. Okay.
Because if I say the words.
We can't talk. I can't talk. Well, wait. If this isn't America anymore, if we cannot have a discussion about politics and media, this isn't America anymore. Then it's Soviet Russia or Nazi Germany. This isn't America.
We're a hop, skip, and a jump away from that, Ben.
Well, that's really scary. I'm glad that I spent all my money on really, really good meat and salmon and so forth.
But Ken, you were in the middle of saying something.
Do you guys ever want to just turn off the internet for a month?
I don't use it mostly except just to connect with old friends from school.
Right. Okay.
And here's the thing, by the way, Ken, I haven't watched the news since election night.
Right.
I haven't. I go to your site, I go to Breitbart, I go to a few other sites, but I have not watched. I cannot stomach watching any news channel right now, and I cannot stomach watching. I mean, here's not the funny thing. The sad thing is every channel now is now the news channel. You had ESPN, which promised to not report on news, reporting on this on the Chauvin thing. This is absolute insanity. And
it's not really insanity. As you say this to me, it reminds me of a conversation I had many years ago with Richard Helms, who used to be the head of the Central Intelligence Agency. And he was a classmate and very close friend of my father's at Williams College, the best small college in America. And my father was kind enough to take me to lunch with him at the Metropolitan Club in Washington. And he told me that his first job out of college in 1935, I thought, or 36, was to be a correspondent for Time magazine. And they sent him to interview Hitler. And I said, did Hitler appear to you to be crazy right off the bat? And Mr. Helms said, no, he wasn't crazy at all. And I said, what do you mean? He killed 6 million innocent Jewish men, women, and children, and millions of others of every other kind of ethnicity. And that's not crazy. And Richard Helms, Ambassador Helms, a very intelligent, well-educated guy, said, no, that he was just a clever politician. Well, I mean, I say the same thing about the people who are running the countries on the left now. I don't think they're crazy. I think they're just very cunning, evil politicians.
You're completely right. And I just want to read the definition of intersectionality for people.
Now, is this intersectionality or intersectionality?
Well, I thought it was intersexuality. That's why I thought it was a gay thing. I'm sorry.
601. is an analytical framework for understanding how aspects of a person's social and political identities combine to create different modes of discrimination and privilege. Examples of these aspects include gender, caste, sex, race, class, sexuality, religion, disability, physical appearance, and height. So that's what I was.
the last one?
Height.
Height?
That's what I was saying. The more you have on your plate, the more your grievances, you're allowed to have grievances. So I humbly think I was right on the definition.
I think so too. And I apologize.
So you and
How
I.
tall are you guys? I want to see who's got the height privilege here.
Well, I think we're about the same height, actually. Maybe I might be a little bit taller, but I'm a lot older.
But with my
well, so you get the age thing. That's kind of the only protected class that you have, Ben.
No, I'm a Jew.
Religion, he's Jewish.
I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
No, conservatives on the other end. That doesn't count.
He's sober.
Sober.
Okay, well, I'm only
barely sober.
And I'm 5'11". And if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to that man, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. We want to thank everybody that's listening in the YouTube chat, commenting away. We love your comments. It makes
I don't get to see the YouTube chat.
Yes, I am going to set something up for you when you come back that you could see it at the same time. I want to remind everybody, please download our podcast. Also get Ben's email at benstein.substack.com. More importantly, also as equally important, get Ken's email, which is mediaactionnetwork.com. They put out amazing product. I love reading your site, Ken. I love the stories you post. And I want to get back, and I want to welcome everybody back to The World According to Ben Stein, but I really want to get back to this because we are coming to the point where cops are not going to go into certain neighborhoods. I just want to give this as an example. Ben was not familiar with this, Ken, and a lot of people aren't. In Brooklyn, New York, there's a Jewish ambulance service called Hatzalah, right? And it was started, sadly, my mother might correct me on this, because a father lost his child and the response time by the FDNY was terrible. So he wanted to set up for the community their own ambulance service. So they partially screen, and they have a number that most, if you're Jewish, you have the number. And I think we're coming to that point where I could see a privatization, and maybe I'm crazy, of the police force.
I'm scared. I am scared, and I'm scared on a personal level and on a moral level. I'm scared on the personal level because I want the police around to protect me if there's any kind of danger to me or to my family or to the people I love. That's one. And I'm scared on a moral level because we are character assassinating and sometimes in person assassinating the people who protect our lives at the risk of their own every hour of every day.
They still come to our neighborhood, though. I mean,
who do? I'm sorry?
The police.
The police come to
Beverly Hills. You have the fastest. You have some of the fastest police.
Yes. Ben lives. Yeah, I want to tell you something.
And in my neighborhood, I live in Sausalito. They come when we call them, and they respond.
But let me juxtapose that. I live in North Hollywood, and I'm not joking. I live I used to live a block and a half away. Now I live like 4 blocks from a police station. It took them 20 minutes to come to my apartment one night. 20 minutes, and they were down the block. So yes, it all has to do with what neighborhoods
you had, like a domestic dispute or something, or what happened?
Wow.
I'll tell you a good story in that vein. A number of years ago, when I first started doing Win Ben Stein's Money, somebody followed me home from the studio. I don't know who it was, and our garage was under construction. The door wouldn't close, and 2 gentlemen followed me into the garage.
Really?
I thought they were fans and they wanted an autograph. I turned around and smiled, and they pulled guns and wanted my wallet and my watch and so forth. And so anyway, they didn't kill me, thank God. And they left, and I called the police, and the police were there in way under a minute. But they started looking around the kitchen, and I said to them, "Gentlemen, thank you for looking around the kitchen, but these guys weren't in the kitchen. The only place they were was in the garage. They were only in the garage. They weren't in the kitchen at all. Why are you looking so carefully at the kitchen?" And one of them said, because your tile work is fantastically good. Who did that? I said, my wife designed it herself. And he said, it's beautiful. It's giving me ideas for redecorating my place. But anyway, I love the Hill Police.
I'm laughing also because I'm reading in the comment sections. Everybody's having now a race of who's the higher level of intersectionality in the YouTube chat, and it's really funny. But here's the thing: for the most part, most of you are probably Caucasian, so you don't get into the you are the lowest level on the intersectionality chart, no matter how, unless you decide to, cross sides and get gender reassignment, then you skyrocket it up. But Ken, it's you guys both live in good neighborhoods, but Ken, there are parts of San Francisco where I'm sure police are very hesitant to go to now.
Well, San Francisco police, I mean, when's the last time you've heard San Francisco police being accused of anything by a criminal? They are the most gentle, kindest and gentlest police force, I think, in the planet, which is, of course, why parts of it are run by criminals. They are very, very polite. They were taught about who to call a miss and a ms and a ms and a her and a him and all that years and years ago, and they soft soap everything. So yeah, but there's just a lot of places I wouldn't go. But look, I'm usually, I believe in the Second Amendment on a personal level. So I've always believed, even on the best of days, that with the true exception of Beverly Hills, I mean, if cops are 5 minutes, 10 minutes away, that kind of doesn't do you any good in an emergency situation.
The cops were less than 1 minit away, and
even in that instance, what did it do you except get you some nice kudos on your tile?
That could be taken in so many different ways. Nice tile, Ben. And but you're completely right. But I want to get back to this point of police. Go to stadiums, whether it's undercover, not undercover, but after off-duty policemen work events. Policemen are constantly working, obviously Hollywood events. The police unions really need to stick together and say, you know what, we're no longer going to protect you guys. If you guys want to have your own security forces, great. But the LAPD, the NYPD, out of stadiums, out of professional sports, you've lost the privilege of protection. My humble opinion.
It's a good opinion, but I'd like to just go back to something basic, which is something we have just ignored, I think, so far. We have a new president, Joseph Biden from Delaware, state that I'm very, very familiar with. Why isn't he weighing in on this whole issue and subject farrago of issues and saying, I back the police? Of course, I'm opposed to criminals. I back the police.
They actually said the exact opposite yesterday.
Yeah.
Where he came out and said, we back the victim. That's exactly what he said. And I'm trying to rack the brain.
Ironic in this case that the victim was in the process of stabbing somebody.
Another black.
Stabbing another black woman. And what are they supposed? She had a knife. And I love how everybody now likes to play Monday morning quarterback and says, shoot with a taser. Yes, because taser shooting, everybody goes, to the taser range. It's a very common practice. I mean, I can't imagine from 30 feet away a taser being the most, as somebody's going for a knife and going to stab somebody, Ben, that being the most accurate of weapons. But I could be wrong.
I said, of course you're not wrong. Of course you're right about this. But I go to the question, why are we attacking the police so much? I mean, we know, we've discussed this many, many times, that of the total number of killings of African-American freedom fighters in this country, the overwhelming majority, are by other African-American freedom fighters. Why is it that the police are the ones in the news all the time for doing the killing and the shooting? Why aren't the main perpetrators in the news?
You bring up a great point, and it's something I was thinking about yesterday, Ben. As LeBron James is so angry, and Floyd's lawyer, Ben Crump, who looks like he always, his name rhymes with, We're so angry, yet every Monday after Chicago's shooting sprees, there's no anger. There's absolutely no anger. LeBron James is no problem. We've spoken about this with the NBA doing business with China and with the concentration camps. None. But when it comes to a case of what is it, 8 last year, unarmed black men being shot by the police, that's where he draws his anger. Not at black men killed.
Look, it's like fat people getting mad at Frito-Lay.
That's very,
it just is. And again, I always ask, how much of it is evil versus how much of it is stupid when somebody's saying something that's patently untrue? And that's an overstatement. But what I mean is, how much of it is people who have an agenda and know that that's the best way to get it? Look, Jesse Jackson made an entire, I know he's your friend, Ben, made an entire
I haven't seen him in years and years and years.
And made an entire career out of being a race baiter. And certainly, look, when the Black Lives Matter gal is now on her 4th house, I mean, she can't be too upset about the American economy and how it treats black people in America. One of them in a very nice neighborhood in Topanga Canyon. I love Topanga Canyon.
And where?
Topanga Canyon. I think she's one of 3 black people now in Topanga Canyon. But that's fine. Whatever. It's America. But I think so. You have to talk about the different groups. Are the politicians using these shootings and Floyd and all of this stuff to get ahead? 100%, absolutely. They're doing it with cold and crass determination. Do I think that most of the black people who are living in the neighborhoods who always had kind of a bad relationship with cops, because that's kind of in many black neighborhoods, it's just an unhealthy relationship. The cops are often jerks to them and they're often jerks to the other. And it's kind of like they're like living with your ex-wife in the same neighborhood and one has a gun. I mean, so it's a bad relationship. And the thing that
that's a very, very clever analogy.
Yeah.
That's a very clever.
Struck a little too close to home, actually. But anyhow, the sad thing about the black community is they don't know how to fix their own problem. So they look around. They have cars. They drive into Beverly Hills. They drive into just any white middle class neighborhood, and there aren't bars on the windows, and there aren't drugs being sold openly on the corners, and there aren't cops shooting people in there. And then they go back to most black neighborhoods, and to be honest, from an outsider's perspective, it's kind of, most black neighborhoods have a lot of problems. I mean, when's the last time you drove onto Martin Luther King Boulevard and didn't make sure your doors were locked? I mean, I don't
even know where Martin Luther King Boulevard is.
There's one in every city, and in every city, I guarantee, every major city. There's one in Los Angeles. You don't go down there; it's by the airport.
It's by where is it?
Well, it's in the area where you don't go. Let's put it down. And in every city, when you get to a Martin Luther King Boulevard, you're like, oh, make sure the doors are locked. I don't like doing it, but most people do if they notice where they are. And as somebody, Ben, you've seen this come and go, and you understand economics, and you understand how groups change and perpetuate through cultures. And it is very, very sad that a kid who's born in a black neighborhood is born into a neighborhood 8 times out of 10 that's got high crime, it's got high drug use. He doesn't know, odds are that he's not going to know his parent, poverty throughout. And the easiest thing for them to point out is race, because then the solution is, if you guys just stop being racist, we'll have a good life. And the sad part of it is that's not the problems. That's not, if everybody in America if racism disappeared tomorrow, let's just say somebody came from another planet and beamed the racism bone out of every body and every American, black communities would still suck. And black communities would still have the same problems that they have now, because it's not racism that it's at the root of that. It's a lot of other things that are endemic to the culture that's been passed on. Might have been created in large part by racism, years back. I mean, that we are still living with the remnants of slavery and not being allowed to have an education and a breakdown of the family. all the way up to all sorts of things. So the perpetuation of the problems in there is something that no Black leaders, real or supposed,
completely right,
are touching on. And it's
Well, wait a second. The last thing that Ken said was the most important, which is the Black leaders won't touch it. The Black leaders won't touch the fact that Black kids drop out of school way earlier and at a way higher rate than kids of any other ethnicity. And that has a lot to do with the fact that they're poor. It has a lot of their own behavior. It's heart-rendering, as my wife would say, that this is so, but that is so. But I've never heard of a racial group which got ahead in the long run by blaming their problems on someone else. I mean,
that's another great point.
Right after the Civil War, there were Black communities of former slaves, very little, if any, education, who managed to put together working communities. Where are they? What happened to them? Where'd they go?
Where did they
You
go?
raise a great point. And if
I
you
don't
just,
know.
I just want to say something to the people in the chat. Ken wasn't stealing Chris Rock's joke. Chris Rock just was very famous and said it out loud.
What's
But
the
everybody,
joke? What's the joke?
you know, if you, there's Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is always in a bad neighborhood.
Oh.
It was a
He
Chris
said
Rock.
that-
I mean,
He stole that from me.
he stole that from anybody that's ever driven down a Martin Luther King Boulevard in any city in America.
Except Ben, because Ben, when you're in the back seat and you've got your your driver up front, sometimes you don't notice what streets you're on.
I actually drive myself usually in my own little car, and I love it a lot. But I do respectfully tell you, I don't know where Martin Luther King Boulevard is, and I'm sure nobody else in my neighborhood here does either. But let's just say, is there any solution to a situation in which the African Americans will not take responsibility for their own problems? I don't know if there is. Now, I mean, there's something going on here that's very deep and untouchable and can't be said. It cannot be said.
It's so I just want to give my point on this is we've allowed the excuse to be to continue. We've allowed them. You know, Ben, we're both Jewish. My family came here. Most of them were slaughtered in the Holocaust. They came here with nothing. They worked their butts off. It wasn't easy to be a Jew in America for a long time. And they worked their asses off. They didn't use it as an excuse. The same could be said for the Koreans. The same could be said for the Italians. The same could be said for the Irish. Everybody that came to this country got shit on. Did they get shit on in this country a little bit longer? 100%. But if you keep on allowing people to use it, then we're both sober, right? So we both know you have to own your shit. Even as painful, as stinky as that shit smells, the only way to recover is by owning.
You're totally demonetized now.
Why? Because I said shit?
4 times.
Yeah, well, we demonetize anyways. But
I don't know what that phrase even
we don't put commercials up. We're not soliciting people with commercials. But that's, I think, the biggest thing for me is that we've allowed them to continually to use this as an excuse.
Well, there have been people who have not let them use it as an excuse. And I will tell you again, for the millionth time, I had the great privilege many years ago of working as a ghostwriter for Reverend Jesse Jackson. And I heard him give many speeches. And I will tell you again that I heard him say over and over again to young Black men and women, complain about racism all you want. I'll be right there with you. Complain about discrimination all you want. I'll be marching right next to you. But get an education and you'll have a great house. Learn how to be an electrician, learn how to wire a house, learn how to plumb a house, and you will have a nice life and a happy life and a decent house and nice cars, and you can send your children to school. And some listened and some did not.
So Ben, did you write the speeches where he would like threaten a corporation and then like get his kid on the board?
Ben coined the term Hymietown for New York City.
I did not write that, but I am aware. I'm aware that he did that, but I'm not surprised.
That wasn't part of your speech writing. That wasn't part of your speech writing. Was, hey Ford, give my kid a free dealership, or we're going to call you racist.
No, I wasn't involved in that. I was talking mostly about his childhood in lovely, charming Greenville, South Carolina, where my son now lives.
And if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. I want to thank everybody that's in the chat room. Your chats are actually a lot of fun tonight. They always are, but I'm appreciating it greatly. No sympathy needed. I've been sober, 22 years, Ben, at this point. But I want to welcome and remind everybody, please download our podcast, The World According to Ben Stein, pretty much wherever podcasts are downloadable or streamable, however the cool kids say it. We're joined by Ken LaCourte from Media Action Network, who's all about punching back, and that's going to be the second half of the show of how we punch back. And of course, we're joined by America's humble servant. Now, here's the thing: I don't want to forget to do this, so I want to remember to do this now. Every show, I want to take a moment in history that I spent with Ben. Is one of those moments, Ken, that was a surreal experience. And I've shared this on the show before, and I wanted to share this at the end, but it's one of the coolest stories. We were on a flight to Houston, and in front of us was Ben says to me, and I swear to you, he says to me, Judah, I think that guy's in a rock band. And I look in front, and it's Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. He turns around to Ben and goes, I am a huge fan of yours. And I'm just sitting there going, this is really surreal. This is ZZ Top and Ben Stein. And he's like, I love you on Fox News. I probably shouldn't say that out loud. He loved, and then this is one of my experiences with Ben, but I want to get back to this.
Thank you.
It was fun, and we need to have a little bit of fun.
How do you tell the guys from ZZ Top apart, though?
One of them is
I had no idea of their names. Only Judah knew their names. I didn't even know they had names.
One of them, their orange beard is a lot longer. And ended up years later, I bumped into him, and I see him at the local pavilions, and I tell him this story, and he goes, wow, you have a great memory. I go, I have a great memory. Who the heck would forget that airplane experience? But I want to get back to this. And I want to share, Ben and myself have a level of disdain, for the Bernie Sanders.
Ben and I, myself is not a subjective pronoun.
Thank you, Mrs. Levin. We have the same feelings, Ken, for the ADL. We have the same feelings for the Bernie Sanders. We have the same feelings for people in our own community that we just cannot stand. So we're equal opportunity disdainers of people propagating these things, Ben Stein.
You're a minority within a minority.
We're equal opportunities of hypocrisy. And I might add, with the greatest respect, I used to be a tremendous admirer of the ADL. Since they started attacking my hero, Tucker Carlson, who I don't think he even knows I'm alive, but I'm a great fan of his. I just lost all respect for ADL for doing that. I mean, Tucker Carlson was one of the great human beings of 2021 America. He says the truth. He says it boldly. He says it wittily and incisively. This country cannot live without people like him. The fact that the ADL said that about him, a real hero of American liberty and decency, is shameful.
I love Tucker.
We love Tucker. Tucker, thank you for that one. We love you.
Thank you for that one-word responses. I'm trying to go through the chat, and people are thanking Sharon for something. I'm trying to figure out what
Who's Sharon.
Thinking. She's in the chat. I'm trying to.
I used to have a girlfriend in high school named Sharon.
I'm sure a lot of people did. It's a fairly common.
I'm scrolling up to see what Sharon did, and I don't see any.
I don't see it either. So
wait. Oh, she met Dusty from ZZ Top and his mom at the Black Tie and Boots Ball in 2000, George W.'s first inauguration.
I was the host of that ball.
Oh my God!
I was the host of that ball. I'm not kidding.
It's 1 degree of Ben Stein. It's 1 degree of Ben Stein. And people always say 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You could pretty much do 2 degrees of Ben Stein, and you will yes, you'll be able to win that game.
Wait, we've intersectionality out, Ken. He's an intersectionality out.
No, I've been sober for 20 minutes.
We're very proud.
20 years.
We're very proud of you, Ken. But I want to get to this solution thing, because I don't see a solution. And I never thought in my wildest dreams, the same thing with Ben Stein, Ken. I never thought I would wake up in the morning and say, I don't see a solution to this. Because at this moment in time, I do not see, because here's the thing. We're the silent majority, sadly, isn't loud enough. He's not silent, but he's part of that majority, like I am and like you are. The problem is the minor minority is wrecking this country, and it's so disturbing, Ken.
I'm not convinced that there is a solution. I think that, I mean, look, how many years have Honduras and Costa Rica lived close to each other? And one of those countries sucks weenie, and one of those countries is pretty great. And they're both Hispanic. It's not like there's racism at play. But I mean, how did Honduras over all of humanity end up being a shithole? And Costa Rica, another small country, same region, same genetic population, is pretty nice. I mean, if somebody said you got to go live in Costa Rica the rest of your life, you'd be like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Maybe our grandkids are still going to be having these same conversations. I mean, you want it to succeed. You want all elements of American society, and of course the world, to succeed and have good lives and live in good societies and have rich, fulfilling lives where they have happiness and achieve things and self-respect. I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen though.
But let me ask you. Let me point out something. After the Civil War, there were a lot of people, white people, former planters, and other white people in the South, who said that black people could not possibly conceivably succeed in America or govern themselves. And they did. They formed communities and did govern themselves for quite a while. So something has happened. I don't think it is a genetic thing. I mean, people say, there's so many data that say that different races have different IQs. Maybe so. But there's no race in the world which, when properly educated, cannot learn a trade or a craft. So why is it that they're taught not to do it? Well, we had a chart. I think it was, I forget whether it was in the American Spectator or the Wall Street Journal or where it was, of how much the government pays people in this country to be idle. It seems to be one thing we could do to start helping this country get out of its rut is to stop paying people to be idle. I mean, we used to have laws in this country against vagrancy, which was intentional idleness. Is that too harsh? Maybe it is. I don't know. I have a daughter-in-law, a niece who's very much an expert on things like that. Maybe she knows. But I just think maybe the government pays people too much to be idle and to not learn. And maybe we're doing that. Maybe we're subsidizing this kind of incompetence.
I think you meant, look, I think that any rational analysis of the Great Society and of the war on poverty would come to the conclusion that it had the opposite effect.
You bet.
It was not just a conservative, well, you wasted money, but that it actually made poor people's lives worse. One example was it made it easier for women to be single moms.
Right. Exactly right.
Look, if I've told this analogy here, it's not an analogy, it's a story, but
before you start, I just want to say something. We repeat ourselves, and Ben said the greatest thing to me one time about repeating myself. I had written, a story, and then I wanted to write another one, and it was very similar. And he said, George Will's been writing the same thing for 75 years. And so please, George Will away.
I was in Alaska, and I was in the wilds of Alaska, where there was a stream that came up, going up, somewhere between a stream and a river, and then it was going up into some tough areas and rocks. And I saw a concrete sluice that had been broken apart. A sluice is kind of like a
gutter. It's like a large gutter.
Yeah, it's kind of like a large gutter. It was kind of like a handicap ramp for fish. And what happened was that 50 years ago, the government people who ran this part of Alaska said, so many of the fish swimming upstream are dying, and we want more of these salmon. So we're going to make it easier for the fish to get around this waterfall. You know, you've seen the waterfall going there, and then it was exactly like that crazy stuff. Well, they built this, and it made it much easier for all those fish to get upstream. And it almost completely decimated the fish population there, the salmon population, because what was happening was all the fish were making it up and producing, and that wasn't what was supposed to happen. It was just supposed to be the strongest and most athletic fish that made it past this thing that then created the genetics of fish that made them repopulate more. And let's not take the analogy too closely, but it was the government trying to help people out, or in this case, fish out. And what it turned out was that help weakened the entire tribe of fish trying to get upstream. And certainly the Great Society and Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty did that. And I think one of the huge things that nobody looks at enough was it allowed the nuclear family and Black communities to be destroyed. You looked at it and you were like, wow, these single women who got knocked up and abandoned, they're living horrific lives, and you want to help them out, just like you want to help people out with unemployment or so many things. But the process of helping them out made it rewarding enough for gals to say, you know what, all I have to do is have a baby and I can move out of my house, and I don't like my mom, and do this. And it ruined largely a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations of Americans who were allowed to, it changed their lives in the way that it changed those fish lives. And it's
Patrick Moynihan wrote a very famous book and many essays on the same subject, and others had written about it before that. And if I may say so, Milton Friedman, probably the greatest American economist except for Paul Samuelson, wrote about it, I think, right after World War II, when the welfare state in America was really getting rolling, way more than it did under FDR. And it is true. I mean, if you take away people's incentive to work, they won't work. I'm sorry to say, I have an extremely close relative who is subsidized by his family, and it has destroyed his necessity of working and has been extremely harmful to him. We love him like crazy, but it has been harmful, and I think this is being done to a whole generation of Americans.
I agree.
It's sad. It's sad. Work is incredibly important to people. I mean, work is amazingly important to people. And I seem to me work is at the keystone, or maybe I should say the archstone of American Blackness. I mean, when Black people had to work, they were incredibly better than when the need to work was eliminated. And I think the same is true of Jews, of Irish, of Chinese, of hardest working person I know, hardest working people I know are immigrants who have not accustomed themselves to a welfare system, and they are incredibly hardworking. They are going to take over this country, and they should.
And somebody brought up Moynihan was one of the last great senators. Ben, great points, and Ken, great points. That's what everybody's sharing in the chat. They're wondering about something else with me, but nothing to do with my brains. But Pat Moynihan.
The cops coming over. One of my favorite responses was somebody said it was a sexual assault, and he was home alone.
Thanks.
I don't mean to laugh.
That was good again. That was good.
You asked something that.
No, that was a commenter. That wasn't me.
You asked something I'm not allowed to speak about, but that's actually hysterical. But I want to get to more of this. So I have a hat on right now. You know, I have a hat here that I'm wearing. It is the American flag and fishes. And we talk about this silent majority. And Ken, you have this Media Action Network, and I think it's really important that we get into the solution, because you put out these things. And I really think if more people, all it takes is 1 or 2 people to start wearing refund the police, different sorts of, supporting our police.
Don't say so much, or else we're going to have to defund you.
Thank you, Mrs. Levin. But it's really important, Ken, that we get this campaign out, in my humble opinion, that people, because it starts with one. It starts with one person in a community standing up for the police. It starts with one person in a community walking up to a police officer and saying, thank you for your service. And that could create a chain reaction, because they have to know that they're not alone. And I think police officers in this country right now feel alone. They don't feel like they have support, especially because we, the silent majority, isn't loud enough.
I think everyone should go up to cops, and I've done it multiple times, and just been like, I know you get a bunch of crap, but thank you. Because
I do that all the time,
and they love it, and it's good,
and incredibly good thing to do. And I'm great. There's a wonderful Christian hymn. Dear God, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And I say, let there be appreciation of the police, and let it begin with me.
I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Anyhow, but yes, absolutely, and because and I tell him,
I had no idea that you were a comedian. You're very.
He's a very funny guy. I mean,
I'm just trying to find my role here. Ben's the smart one. Judah is the master of ceremonies, and I guess I get to be the clown.
But you're the Shecky.
Shecky, get the jet.
So anyway, get back to it, Ken. What solution are you offering us? Because we need a solution.
Gosh, we have a lot of solutions that I think we need to pursue. One is we as conservatives need to look upstream and fight the upstream battles. We can beat up idiot LeBron James or the Hispanic, the Puerto Rican chick who's I still think's kind of cute, but it's kind of crazy and got big eyes in
Who's that? Who are you talking about?
AOC.
Oh my God! You think she's nice looking? Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Well, you're in San Francisco.
He's lucky then. If he thinks AOC
I'd have to go like this.
If he thinks AOC is attractive, he's a blessed man. Okay. good for you, Ken. If you find her hot, you're the luckiest guy in the world. But go on.
I tell you, like 20 years ago, I had a sex dream. You cannot about Hillary Clinton. And I woke up. And like this was she was, and I'm like, I have to kill myself now. There's no other way out of this except self-immolation, like one of those monks or something. But
did you share that with Roger Ailes?
I don't know whether I told him that or not.
That's really, really funny.
It was weird. It was very
weird, very funny.
Wow.
We need to fight the upstream battles. We need to stop worrying about too much about what the Senate's doing today and this and that. Those are important things, but that's transient. What's important are those upstream battles, and that means we need to encourage conservatives in the education world, and we need to start taking back some colleges, and we need to explain to parents that they can divert with their money away from the craziest colleges to temper some of that. We need to take back the media, and we need to not just, we hate you. We need to get into it. We need to own it. That's both traditional media, and conservatives need to get it. They need to go to work for CNN and be quiet. They're conservative and just write little things that they can do. It also means us reinventing and building up a parallel universe in the internet. And we need to have a conservative Silicon Valley. Now, there's some rich, smart, aggressive people out there who are trying this. There's the Parlors of the world. There's the Gab, and there's I won't call Telegram conservative, and some others. I mean, that's the way that we win this fight in the long term, is by going upstream and fighting on those grounds. Secondarily is we just need to get into the fight. It's like liberals have been, it's like, I hate their tactics. I hate you got to shut up. But, I mean, they have done great at silencing and making conservatives fearful. Let me give you one example. I think it was a police lieutenant donated 20, and we'll do
this is insane
next week. Donated $25 to Kyle Rittenhouse's campaign.
That is great. That's really good. That's really
good. And then got fired.
And he got
fired because he said, "We're with you. Cops are with you." This young man who shot 3 people, every one of them who was attacking him One was a child molester. The other one was a multiple convicted felon. All three of, and one had a gun in his hand as he was attacking him. And this kid pulled it off pretty well. He's still sitting in jail right now.
No, he's out of jail. He's not in jail. He got bailed out.
Really?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Ricky from Silver Spoons and the My Pillow guy were huge donors in getting him out of jail.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You know what? I must have been on vacation that week, and I'm going to look it up. Anyhow, this cop 2 days ago got fired because of that. So we have multimillionaires saying it's threatening cops. So we need to create some pain for the companies and the politicians and the celebrities who do these things, and whether it's encouraging cops to not go to any game and work as a private contractor, or just LeBron James games or whatever, whether it's getting some of them and making them be beholden to their own standards. We've got a lot on our plate, and we need to stop thinking and start acting more.
You see, I think it also starts more ground level up. Okay. I believe in certain places, you walk around with a shirt that says, "I love America. I'm proud to be an American." Walk through West Hollywood wearing those things. Walk through any neighborhood that you think is a leftist neighborhood and start. So that way the silent majority isn't terrified into their silence. If one, two, I think there could be a domino effect. That's the quickest thing for me that I see. Ben Stein, you're a walking poster child for conservatism in West Hollywood. Now we need more people to do that type of thing. It's on the ground.
Well, I'm Judah and I often go shopping. My wife doesn't shop, and but I do the shopping for our family. And my wife's a saint, but she doesn't shop. And when I check out, when I leave the meat counter, the salmon counter, the druggist counter, I say, "God bless you." And
you have a salmon counter in Beverly Hills?
Yes, we do.
Oh my God, I have to move.
Yes, I say, "God bless you," and "God bless America." And you know what? Very few say "God bless America" back, but some do. And I've noticed, I think if I keep saying it year after year, more say it. I think that's a good way to begin, is whenever you say goodbye to somebody, say goodbye and God bless you and God bless America.
So yeah, I agree with you completely. I think, Ken, we need to, I don't understand how any police officer right now, I truly don't, could go.
They're brave people. They're brave men and women.
No, they're extremely brave, but I don't know how any of them could, if you have to think in that job, you could be dead.
Right.
We're setting these people up for death.
Right.
If you're walking up to a traffic stop, scared to death that if you do something wrong, not the driver of the car with a warrant does something wrong, and you flinch, that policeman's dead. And nobody talks about all of the policemen that have been killed in the line of duty, and probably a lot of them flinched in some ways. They didn't do what they could have done. And I don't believe police officers, we need to do whatever we can to support these people, from the FDNY to the LAPD to local municipalities. When we need to we need to become in front of those stations with shirts saying we support the police. So Ken, I would love if you could do something like that, because I will gladly stand outside a police station cheering.
Well, the police station is only a block and a half from our house, so we can go over there as soon as I get back from South Carolina.
Yeah, you set up something in Beverly Hills where Ben Stein celebrates police, and we will be at that police station in Beverly Hills. We know it's rough in that area, and we're taking a lot of risks by being there. But Ken, I would love to do that, because
that's a great idea.
Because they need to start every once in a while. I have one. They need to start hearing how much we support them. Ken, you could even come down here, call it the Ben Stein, whatever, and we will be there rah-rahing. And I could tell you, in this area of Beverly Hills, quite a few people will be at that police station doing the same thing.
They'll be speaking Farsi, but that's okay.
6 of 1 doesn't really
It
matter.
doesn't matter. They can
I
speak
think it's- I
Farsi
think
as
it's a
long as
great
they
idea,
support
but
the
I-
police. We're with them. We're with them.
I'm still kind of blown away. So, how big is this salmon counter? Can you explain how much?
It's not big at all. It's right next
how
to the
much
fish.
salmon
It's
can
right
be
next
there
to.
that you have
It's
its
right next to
own
the. It's
can-
right next to
No,
the
it's
meat
not
counter, and it
just
has all
salmon.
kinds of delicious salmon.
It's
And I
surf
will
and
tell you-
turf.
What?
It's surf and turf counter.
No,
Ken.
with all due respect, as you know very well, Judah Meyer Friedman, there is on the right the meat counter, and then just to the left,
On the left
there's
is the fish counter. Yeah,
Wow.
but altogether it's surf and turf. It's
Well, the whole effing
no,
grocery store could be called surf and turf.
So Ben goes to a restaurant or to a supermarket where there's a salmon counter, yet is still nervous for his safety.
Not at all. Not at
Oh, okay.
all.
Oh, I thought you said you were nervous for your safety.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
At all.
Maybe you have brought that up though, that you're scared when you hear the police sirens behind you, that it's going to be for something you said.
I'm scared when I see the police sirens behind me since the election. That's going to be, for something politically incorrect that I've said. Yes, I am.
And listen, like
And
I
I
don't
brought up,
eat, so I'm not worried about that. I don't drink or take drugs,
Sure.
so I'm not worried about that. But I am worried that somebody's going to arrest me for saying something politically incorrect, and that is a very bad state to be in.
hey, listen, we're doing this thing. We're doing our thing here, and I'm not scared of losing it. You know, we there are tons of platforms that we could do the show from, but it is a frightening thought that
Very.
everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion. It is, we have lost our ability for grace, for dignity, for respect, for forgiveness. People say, and do stupid things all the time. I remember when it used to be okay that you forgave those people. And we are living in such unforgiving times, Ken. I've never witnessed anything like this. It's that first mistake, people just are ready to pounce on you.
Well, but let's let forgiveness start with us. The man who can forgive, and it should be women too, is walking in the footsteps of God. And I think that's a good way for us to begin tonight and tomorrow.
Do
I
we
agree
forgive
with that.
Joe Biden for stealing the election?
And we're not allowed to talk about that.
Oh. Sorry.
That didn't happen. YouTube. He's Ken LaCourt. He's
Sorry.
half.
Eric,
half
Eric
cost.
in the comments gave me the idea. Sorry.
I have no idea what he's talking about. If you just tuned in, I want to thank everybody for listening to the show tonight. Not sure it's gonna be able to stay up now. YouTube, we love you. We love you. We believe you're the greatest curators of content of all time. Everything you say is absolutely correct. We bow to you.
The CEO of YouTube just got an award for free speech in an event that was sponsored and promoted by YouTube. That happened 2 days ago.
And on that note, but I want to thank everybody that's been listening in the chat. We've had a lot of fun. We've learned a lot. That's what you get from Ken LaCourt, but of course, that's what you also get from America's humble servant, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. I didn't mean to throw a million different ideas at you, Ken, but I love the fact that your network does these incredible things. I think it's so important. It's the MediaActionNetwork.com. I beg of everybody to go there, read his stuff, get his stuff, sign up for his newsletter. But you could also find Ben Stein on Parler at Ben Stein, and of course, spectator.org or benstein.substack.com. For our email, remind everybody, please download the shows on our podcast. Give a good review, give a great review, give a 7-star review. Review it from 10 different phones, whatever you got to do, review. And on that note, I want to thank everybody that's been listening. We will not be here Saturday, but we have a Sunday night special. Ben will be on the road, so we'll be doing the show Sunday night. Same time, same bad station. Ben, you want to sing us out?
We are soldiers in the army. We have to fight, although we have to die. Yes, we have to fight on, children, till the day that we die. Well, my mother was a soldier. She had her hand on the gospel plow. And then one day she got weary. She couldn't fight anymore. She said, I'll just stand here and fight on anyhow.
Did you just make that up?
Are you kidding? That's an incredibly famous song.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. One of these
Because
I
days.
loved
you
it. Don't
did
get me
not
wrong.
grow
I'm not
up in the
criticizing you.
South, and so you did not learn what were then called Negro spirituals. I'm sure they would be called something else now.
Hate
And we
crime.
did.
Hate crime.
Well, that's what they were called, and there was no disrespect was intended. And by the way, I would like to add, I have been a contributor to the UNCF for at least 40 years, at least, and I challenge you to guess what the N stands for.
And on that note, I want to thank everybody for listening to The World According to Ben Stein. We hope we enriched your life for a little bit. You've enriched ours in great ways. And seriously, I mean that. The chats tonight were incredible. Thank you all. God bless. Have a great night.
God bless you.
Good to thank you.